Basically what you would have had in a school shooter. He's a 17-year-old kid. He shouldn't have had a gun. He crossed state lines to supposedly protect property. No, he was going out to shoot people.
Kyle Rittenhouse, the 17-year-old vigilante.
Kyle Rittenhouse, the vigilante.
Kyle Rittenhouse, the armed teenage vigilante.
A 17-year-old vigilante, arguably a domestic terrorist, picked up a rifle, drove to a different state to shoot people.
Kyle Rittenhouse, a guy who's deeply racist, went with weapons to a black...
Deeply racist. Here's how the Associated Press reported on the case. It said it was set off by the wounding of Jacob Blake, as we mentioned, by a white police officer. Rittenhouse went to Kenosha from his home in Antioch, Illinois, with a rifle and medical kit in what the former police and fire youth cadet said was an effort to protect property after rioters set fires and ransacked businesses on previous nights. Again, this is Associated Press. Rittenhouse fatally shot Joseph Rosenbaum in an initial confrontation, and just moments later shot and killed Anthony Huber and wounded Gage Grosskreutz, 27 years old. Rittenhouse is white, as were those he shot. Can you imagine had the people he shot been black? It didn't say that. I added that. The AP continues, Rittenhouse is charged with first-degree intentional homicide, which is Wisconsin's murder count, attempted first-degree intentional homicide, first-degree reckless homicide, reckless endangering, and illegal possession of a weapon by a person under 18. Rittenhouse took the stand, testified he heard a gunshot directly behind him as he was chased by Rosenbaum. Authorities said the shot was fired by somebody else in the crowd. And the Associated Press says this, and I'm quoting, the account Rittenhouse gave has largely been corroborated by a wealth of video and the prosecution's own witnesses. Rittenhouse said Rosenbaum cornered him and put his hand on the barrel of his rifle. The second man hit him with a skateboard, and the third man came at him with a gun of his own. End of quote. Back to how the media have been covering this.
Black Lives Matter protests, looking to get in trouble. He did. He murdered a couple of people.
Rittenhouse, the 17-year-old kid, just running around, shooting and killing protesters.
You see the 17-year-old who was radicalized by Trumpism, took his AR-15 to Kenosha and became a killer.
A white, Trump-supporting, MAGA-loving, Blue Lives Matter social media partisan, 17 years old, picks up a gun, drives from one state to another with the intent to shoot people.
A 17-year-old boy who drove across state lines with an AR-15 and started shooting people up, including a guy with a skateboard.
Kyle Rittenhouse, who has killed protesters, unarmed protesters.
Rittenhouse, a 17-year-old that went with a weapon into the middle of protests and then provoked people and then shot and killed them.
Kyle Rittenhouse is the enemy.
A boy from out of state drives up to the state with an AR-15 around his neck, shoots and kills a couple of people, shooting wildly, running around, acting like rent-a-cop.
Drove across state lines armed with a rifle to go and shoot people.
What a dark, dystopian scene where a 17-year-old boy is carrying around a rifle, running around and gunning down protesters.
Carrying around and gunning down protesters. At least he didn't call it a automatic rifle. 500 Wisconsin National Guard troops have been activated now ahead of the verdict. By the way, do you know who Bill Ackman is? Founded something called Pershing Square Capital Management. He's a billionaire and known Trump critic. Guess what he said about this case? I'll just put it like this before we come back. His comments shocked the online community, and a reporter even wondered whether his account had been hacked because what he tweeted was so out of character to his followers. This is a billionaire named Bill Ackman, A-C-K-M-A-N, a known Trump hater. And he tweeted about this case to the point where people wondered whether or not his Twitter account has been hacked. I'm sure you know where I'm going with what he said about this case. Again, 500 Wisconsin National Guard troops have been activated. According to the governor, the Guard's persons will be operating, quote, in conjunction with hundreds of officers from volunteering law enforcement agencies. We will continue to be in contact with our partners at the local level to ensure the state provides support and resources to help keep the Kenosha community and greater area safe. End of quote. What did the billionaire Bill Ackman, a known Trump critic, say about this case? Stick around.